Have you been trying to declutter for a while, but you just keep getting derailed? Maybe your kids get sick, or you are just floored by a box of your mom's things, or you're just plain overwhelmed. You are not alone, and I have you covered with my entire decluttering system to help you get over that hurdle, keeping you in mess so that you can get your clean and organized home. Now, before we go on, we need to identify the deeper reason why so many of us are still stuck in clutter. We are stuck because of the 80s and we just keep reliving them, like Pat Benatar as a dime a dance girl in Love is a Battlefield, one of the best songs of all time. For all of human history, 99.9% of people often struggled with having enough. And it is baked into us that we need to gather and to store for a later day. But the Industrial Revolution, plastic, and the 1980s came along when things were easy to buy and we started to amass clutter. So back when I was an emergency room nurse, I would get home after a 12-hour day of literal human trauma, and instead of snuggling my family and decompressing, I was saddened and stressed out and overwhelmed by my messy house. And I would either fruitlessly clean or I would escape in a book or a movie, not dealing with anything as the problem got worse. Now, eventually I realized that the excess stuff was actually the problem. So I was like, I'm going to declutter. But one big thing would block me from doing that. So it kind of didn't ever start. And then I'd be like, what is wrong with me? I'm going to live like this forever. It was so frustrating. That is perfectionism, which ironically is a form of procrastination. Now, procrastinating on decluttering is kind of like constantly rewinding your favorite cassette tape and never actually pressing play so that you don't get it done and get to enjoy the music. But perfectionism is like trying to create that perfect mixtape. Do you remember when you would sit in front of the radio and you would have your cassette tape ready to go to hit record when your favorite song came on? But instead, you just aren't hitting record because you keep cutting off the beginning. So you never get to enjoy the rest of the song. That is perfectionism. As a science nerd, why don't you just love him? I used to get stuck in the research cycle. I would want to know the best system, the best security, and the right boxes, etc. So as much as we love research, but maybe just limit yourself to 1 hour. And then press play on that tape deck and get started. You can always throw on a video in the background and declutter alongside me or somebody else. Starting in the right place is important though. Just remember that. The one thing that does really, really matter. And it's like in Pretty in Pink when Andy showed up at the wrong party and she felt completely out of place and overwhelmed. Like starting in the garage or with a pile of sentimental things from your kid's childhood or your mom's things. So begin in a more manageable area and you will build the confidence and your decluttering muscles to tackle the tougher spaces. Just like Andy eventually finds her place at prom in that really ugly dress. I like to start in a junk drawer or under the bathroom sink in an area that's really manageable. It only takes one session. And then when I'm done, I open it often enough so that I can enjoy my success. It's a quick win. And I love it. But here's one thing. If you're not ready to do the work, that can stunt your progress too. Now, just the smallest bit of prep can have your decluttering session running much more smoothly. I like to have 4 boxes, bins, or baskets. Quite often, I will just use these laundry baskets. And then what you do is you assign things for each of them. So you may have one for keeping, or of course, you can just put that back up wherever you are working. Then there is one for donate and sell. Now, I donate most of my stuff. I only sell something if it is going to be more than $30 and that it is worth it, because selling stuff is just a pain. And I love to just bless somebody with something when we donate, which feels great. And then there is garbage/recycling, because the thing is, a lot of it is garbage. Whether or not you send it there now, it will probably go there eventually, so you may as well do it. And then, of course, we recycle whenever we can. Now, it does not hurt to have some leg warmers and even a killer playlist on your Walkman so that it is an enjoyable experience. I also recommend being well rested and hydrated. So there are some questions that can help guide you in this process. We are going to channel our inner Magnum PI and ask questions like, do I really need this? Does this spark joy, or is it just dust? Will I ever use this Rubik's Cube again? So the first question I love is, do I need this? Is this something you need to get through your day-to-day life? Like, do you need a kettle? I need a kettle. I refuse to live without a kettle. Do I like this? Which is great for things like artwork, because things that bring us joy in life that we like, that we use, but just that we appreciate, are definitely worth keeping. And I'm not saying any little piece of clutter. I'm saying things that you truly do value and appreciate. The third, do I use this? If this is something you use, like I'm using this shirt, right? Then I'm going to keep it. These questions, they make the decision-making process so doable, like an actual checklist. And instead of opening a box and then closing it immediately out of overwhelm and feeling completely stuck with perpetual clutter, we actually are guided in the process. Now, when I tell my kids to clean their room, I always say, pick up the garbage first, then the clothes. These are the big things, and they can just make a shocking difference. And really, it takes care of a lot of that work, which is great. Dana K. White tells us to take these items that belong in another place to its home immediately. And you can do that. Or I will often just have a box to throw things in, and then I take them to the place when I am done for the day. But do what works for you. Now, before you're like, how will I remember all of this? Let me ask you, do you remember in Teen Magazine or Sassy, those full makeup tutorials that told you just how to get that perfect blend of all of those blue eyeshadows together? Full guidance in written form is just so darn handy. So I have you covered. I have this free ebook that you can download. Go to the link minimalisthome.ca/ebook, and it will help guide you. It's totally free, and it has all of these tips in there. Now, sometimes we do get stuck in an I could use it one day or a just in case item cycle. These hangups can derail your progress and can leave you stalled with the same old mess. Now, first off, the just in casers rarely get used, and there are other hangups that can keep you stuck. And in addition to my ebook, I will also send you a couple of tips to help you overcome those. And remember how we all had to keep feeding quarters into the arcade machines way back in the day just to keep those darn things playing? Consistency is key. Just keep putting in the effort, and soon you will reach the high score of a tidy home. I love to just remember that even 15 minutes a day is over 90 hours in a year. Can you imagine how much you could get done if you did just 15 minutes a day? Using this system, I managed to declutter 80% of our stuff, and it was crazy. Now it is gorgeous. I have time to relax. I can spend an afternoon reading guilt-free. Yep, we still do get random piles here and there, but they are so easy to tidy and clean because everything has a place, and it just takes like seconds to put things away. Sometimes the kitchen can be covered with piles, extra appliances, and things that we do not need, which can make cooking even more of a chore. I made this video about how easily to declutter the things that you don't need so that you have more space to enjoy prepping those healthy meals. Stay tidy on my day. I hope something great happens for you today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.